Hi everyone, welcome to another live stream. Lara from Complete Test Success here. Today we are doing IELTS Speaking Part 1. So what I will do for this is I will share a link with you. I'll get some of you to come and join me. I'll ask you some Part 1 questions and I'll give you some feedback. So what you get then is a little bit of insight into what the examiner is looking for, what issues the examiner would point out, what things to prioritize. And obviously, if you join me live, then a bit of feedback directly on your specific mistakes. So to do this, I need to share a link with you. So if you look in the comments, just 1 second now. So you'll see here, click this link to join me live. And as you might have guessed, if you click on that link, you will be able to join me live. Hi, Sabine. Good to see you here. Hi, Nishat. Good to see you here again. Hi, Khalil from Bangladesh. Lovely. Babu from Bangladesh. Great. Surjan from Sri Lanka. Lovely. Gotcha. Okay, good. So that's pretty much it. Click on the link and I will be able to do some practice part ones. So what we do in these lessons, it's not possible to do part 1, part 2, part 3 when we're given feedback to different people. So the last speaking live stream, the last IELTS speaking live stream that I did was for part 3. So this one's for part 1. The next one will be for part 2 and so on like that. One thing, if you are joining me live, make sure to have your camera on. Hussein, how can we improve speaking skills easily? It's not going to be easy. It's not the situation where I have some magic information that makes the process easy. It's not easy. But what you should do is you should focus on your weaknesses. So if you have a fluency problem, focus on that. If you have a vocab problem, focus on that. If it's grammar, if it's pronunciation. And then even within that, try to be as specific as possible. So if you're trying to improve your grammar, don't just, read a grammar book. Focus on, what specific grammar area are you having the most problems with, and, spend your time working on as specific focus as possible. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's easy. In fact, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's always hard work. But the more focused you can be, the more likely you are to make effective progress. Hi, Shamaya. Rasif, welcome. Mamadul, welcome. Good to see you here. Irene from Nigeria, welcome. How to willingly speak for a long time without hesitation, repetition, any strategies? Practice, more practice. If you've met someone whose fluency is better than your fluency, it's because they've spent more time speaking in English than you have. It's not about being lucky or being, born with a natural talent. It's practice. That's all it is. Okay, so I have Shaima with me here.
Hello, sir.
Hello again. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
Can you remind me what score you're aiming for, please?
7 or above.
7 or higher. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a few part 1 questions. The examiner will always introduce the topic. So they'll always tell you what the topic of the questions are before they ask. So I'm going to ask you some questions about school.
Okay.
Did you go to secondary school near where you lived?
Definitely, yes. When I was a teenager, my father took me to the nearest school to study secondary school nearest to my house to conserve my time to be able to study more to get high score to enter medical school.
What did you like about your secondary school?
What I like the most is it's very huge with a lot of buildings, beautiful buildings, and the company there, my friends there, and my teachers are so helpful and try to do whatever they can to give us the knowledge to be the best.
Tell me about anything you didn't like at your school.
Maybe I didn't like the time the time I spent there, because we start our school from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. It's a very long time. Beside that, also the curriculum was very huge. We have to take a lot of classes. No sports available. Even if we have a sport class, they cancel it and take biology or biochemistry instead. This is what I hate about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
It feels like you may not have been speaking English all that much since we last spoke. I
Yeah.
feel like you need more time to think than the previous times we've spoken.
Mm. Yeah.
So your fluency isn't as good as normal. More pauses than normal. More time to think than normal. Besides that, there are two phrases that you used. You said very huge, but very and huge don't go together. So we say very big, but not very huge. It's what's known as an ungradable or non-gradable adjective. And then a phrase you used that is very, very common for students to use this. They say definitely yes, but that's not accurate. So the question is, let me find it here now. Did you go to secondary school near where you lived? And you said definitely yes, but it would be I definitely did, or just definitely, but never definitely yes. Those two don't go together either.
Okay.
Your vocab was good, not a lot of grammar mistakes. Your pronunciation was clear, but it just feels like you haven't been speaking that much in English recently, and your fluency isn't as good as normal. So if you were to focus on anything, it would be to start working on your fluency again and just practice speaking a bit more, and keep your fluency up, because before definitely your fluency was better than that. So that would be the main thing at the moment.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Do you have any questions, or is there anything you want to say before we finish up?
No, thank you.
All right. Well, lovely to see you again anyway. Talk to you again soon. Okay. From East Asia, hello to you. Sroye, how to improve to get 7+? What are the key things to get 7 or 7+? Well, it's about breaking it down into what do you need to improve. Like if you're currently at a band 6 and you need to improve fluency and vocab and grammar and pronunciation, there's no way to avoid that. If you're currently at a band 6.5, then you want to understand, why are you at 6.5? Why are you not a 7? Is it because of your fluency? Is it because of, you might be already getting, let's say, 7 in vocab, 7 in grammar, 7 in pronunciation, and it's only your fluency that's keeping your score down to a 6.5. So find out, why are you getting a 6.5 instead of a 7, and then just focus on that one thing that you need to fix. So it just depends from student to student. There's no simple answer that everybody has to do the exact same thing. Some people it'll be fluency, some people it'll be pronunciation. Different people have different problems. So it really just depends on what your specific issues are. Once you know what they are, then you fix them. And that's basically it. How many idioms are needed? 0. No idioms. Do not use idioms in your answers. Can you check my IELTS writing? I can, absolutely. Yep. I have that service. If you want to send me an email there, lar@completetestsuccess.com. Hey, Sharon. You have a 6 in speaking and you need a 7. So that would mean there might be one area already at a 7. So for example, you might have a 7 in fluency and then 6 in vocab, 6 in grammar, 6 in pronunciation. So it might be that there's one area you don't need to improve, or it might be that you need to improve all of them. I can't say without having a full practice test and analyzing you. Sabine, hello, Lar. Thank you for the sessions. You're very welcome. I got what I needed because of you and your video instructions. That actually works. You got your scores. Awesome. Fantastic. Congratulations. I know you've been working hard. That's great news. Okay, so I have Khalil here with me. Khalil, let's get you in here.
Hi.
How are you, Khalil?
Hi. I'm fine, and you?
Doing very good. Doing very good. Thanks.
I'm very glad to meet you.
Oh yeah, thanks. Well, we've crossed paths many times. What score are you looking for in speaking, Khalil?
Today I want to 6.5, near 6.5.
Okay. So again,
7.
of course, or higher. Yeah, that's the standard. Everyone wants higher if they can. Let's start with the 6.5 anyway. Okay. So Khalil, I'm going to ask you some questions about travel. Do you enjoy traveling?
Yes, I do travel, and I love to travel in different places. By traveling, a man can acquire different type of knowledge, and he also can see different type of beautiful scenery. By this way, we can learn different places and person culture. For those reasons, I love to travel, and I also enjoy.
And have you done much traveling?
Though I don't much traveling, but when I get free time, I try to travel in different places with my friends. When I get free times, during that time, I go out for traveling in different numerous places, such as my neighbor country or my neighbor village and capital of Bangladesh and other places for different type of acquiring knowledge.
Do you think it's better to travel alone or with other people?
I think it is better travel with others. For this reason, we can share and we enjoy together in that places, and also can help if we fall any trouble, any trap or anything. We can help, and we also be acquire together different type of knowledge. For that reasons, I think that we should travel with others.
Thank you. Okay. So at the moment, Khalil, you're not ready to get your desired score. You're not ready to get your required score yet. So some things, and I know your internet connection isn't very strong, so there are some pauses because of your internet, but it seems like there are you speak quite slowly, and sorry, I'll just mute you there for a second. You do speak quite slowly, and there are quite frequent pauses. So your fluency is definitely something that you're going to need to work on if you're aiming for a 6.5. Your vocab, you have the vocab you need to express yourself. You always can communicate your ideas clearly when it comes to vocab. With grammar, you're making too many mistakes, and a lot of your mistakes are related to plurals. So I'd recommend that you focus completely on improving your ability to use plurals correctly for now. Once you improve that, you'll find your new main grammar area to work on. With pronunciation, the individual words are pronounced very clearly. So it's never a problem understanding what you're saying. But the various features of connected speech that you would need for a band 7, so, like the sentence stress and the intonation, aren't there at the moment. So you would need to work on those things as well. So you've quite a few areas to work on. At the moment, I would say Practice speaking as much as possible to improve your fluency. Work on plurals to improve your grammar, and just make those two things your main focus for now. After that, you can see what the main areas are and work on those. But for now, it would be fluency and plurals. Do you have any questions about any of that, Khalil?
Thank you for your feedback.
You're
And
very
I
welcome.
always watch your video, and I also get the different type of benefit from your video by watching. And
Awesome.
I want to
Great.
some writing simple question on your website. You have published uh, 20 question on writing tax too.
Mhm.
These questions are very much effective for us, and I
Awesome.
want to from you that please publish some simple question on tax too.
Okay, more questions for test 2. Gotcha. I'll add that to
Yeah.
the list. Lovely. Take care of yourself. Thanks very much, Khalil. Bye-bye.
Thank
Hi, Alfredo. How to improve fluency and accent. So with fluency, to improve your fluency, you just practice speaking. But it's the more you speak, the better you get. But also, the more you interact in English. So if you're watching movies in English, reading books in English, going to English websites, listening to English music, the more you do, all of that gets your brain operating in English, and that helps your fluency. But more than anything, it's practice speaking. With your accent, it's about, again, just pinpointing the specific mistakes you're making and removing them one at a time. So, you might be pronouncing some sounds incorrectly. You might be stressing too many words in each sentence. It just depends on what your mistakes are. So again, it's about finding out what you're doing wrong and then fixing those specific things. Okay. Next up, I have Mahmood. Hello there.
Hello, how are you?
How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Good, good, good. What score are you aiming for, Mahmood?
I'm aiming for 7. Let's see what happen.
Okay. So let me just find my next set of questions here. All right. I'm going to ask you some questions about names. How did your parents choose your name?
To be very honest, I do not have any idea how they choose my name. But I never asked them, to be very honest. I just know that my naming, the meaning of my name is like praising someone else. So that's what I know. But overall, if you ask me that how that name comes, I don't know. I have no idea.
And does your name have any special meaning?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, my name's meaning is like praising someone. I do not know the exact meaning, but it's like praising someone. It's come from our holy book Quran. There is a word called Mahmud, so I think maybe they picked the word the name from that book.
Is your name common or unusual in your country?
I would say it's pretty common in our country because a lot of names because we are a Muslim country, and a lot of the names parents choose for their children are Muslim names. And as I mentioned before, my name is also pretty Muslim because it speaks from the Holy Book Quran. So I think this is a very common name in our country.
If you could change your name, would you change it?
I don't think so because I used to it this name. People called from my childhood. People called me with this name, so I don't. It's a good name to have. So I do not. It's not weird as well in Bangladeshi context. So I do not want to change this. I want to keep it this way.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
great. Good performance.
Thank you.
I would say you're very close to the score that you need. I think you did very well with that first question where you didn't know the answer and you just said, I don't know the answer. And you explained it and you continue talking about it. That's perfect. Very often candidates, they get a bit stressed and they feel like they should know the answer to every question, but that's not realistic and it's really not a problem. So yeah, just saying you don't know, explaining why you don't know, and talking about the topic, then that's absolutely perfect. And that would be the same in part 1 and part 3. There will be questions you don't know about, so you just say what you do know. If you try to invent an answer, that can become quite complicated. So I agree. I agree completely with your approach. Definitely
Thank you.
a good choice made there. Your fluency is great. What I would worry about is if you're rushing yourself, and I don't know if you are or you aren't, but are you comfortable speaking at that pace, or are you trying to speak quickly?
I'm comfortable with this pace, but last time we talked that you said I am a little bit speedy when it comes to speaking,
Mhm.
but I am trying to slow it down a little bit so that I can work on my stress, sentence, word stress, and these things. But
Well,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you were a good pace today.
yeah.
So it wasn't that you were speaking too quickly. It was just my worry was if you were trying to force yourself to speak faster than you're comfortable speaking. But if you're comfortable speaking at that pace, it's a good speed.
Okay, thank you.
Just small grammar mistakes. You said choose
Yeah.
instead of chose for past. You said I used to it instead of I'm used to it. So 2 small grammar mistakes. And then with pronunciation, you're very clear. You've got great sentence stress. It's very easy to follow you. Your intonation is mostly accurate. Again, 2 very small mistakes. You pronounced the word common, that the last vowel sound you pronounced incorrectly. And then you said ax instead of ask. So you got the SK sounds the wrong way around. Those are very small things. Those aren't things to be very concerned about. So you're doing great.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you're 100% ready for a band 7, but you're very, very close to it. If not already capable, very close to that mark.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're very welcome.
So I have one question that I always use simple things, like whenever I say things like as you mentioned before, I am saying like day to day conversation, but I just want to be a little bit like complicated vocabulary or something like that. That I don't know is it work or not, but I always try to be simple, but I try to be a little bit like native like.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is, this is something that comes up a lot, but the thing is, you should be using vocabulary that you're comfortable using. So, I mean, the vocab that's simple for you will be complicated for someone else. So like as your vocab improves, the number of words you feel are simple, that range expands. So, like it's not that just because you can use them well means that they're not good. So, like it's a mistake that a lot of students make. They feel that they should be using words that are in their mind more impressive, but
Yeah,
they're,
impressive.
they're,
Yeah, yeah,
they're probably impressive because you can't use them correctly. So it's impressive because you hear someone else using them and you go like,
yeah,
wow, that's great. But when the
yeah,
person themselves is using them, like the person themselves are using them, when the people themselves are using them, they're probably not that impressed with the vocab that they're using. So
okay,
it's kind of subjective in that you're never that impressed with the words you can use very
yeah,
well. So I would say don't go trying to use vocab isn't that you can't use comfortably. Focus
okay,
on the stuff that clearly communicates your ideas, you're comfortable using them, you're going to use them with more accuracy. It's going to be easier for the examiner to understand what you're saying. So yeah, definitely go
yeah.
with what you feel most comfortable with. It's definitely the
Okay,
best choice.
thanks for your
You're very
feedback.
welcome. No
Have a
problem
good
at
day.
all. You take
Okay,
care of yourself. Good to see you again.
bye, bye.
Hi, Melody. Hi, sir. My cell phone can't go through from you. I need to connect with you. Yeah, so if you need to connect with me, you can just send me a message. If you're on Facebook, you can send me an email here if you prefer using email. I don't use my phone for work, so you'll need to contact me one of those ways. Okay. And next up, we have Sarb. Hi, Sarb.
Hi, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Good. You feeling nervous about doing a practice speaking?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Have you done the IELTS test before, Sarb?
Yes, sir. I've scored 6 in speaking and
Mm-hmm.
6.5 overall.
Good. What score do you need?
I need 7 or 7 plus.
Okay. So let's see if we can figure out what areas to work on. So I'm going to ask you some questions about photographs. What type of photos do you like taking?
Well, most of the time I would like to take photos on some places where I go for, like, where I go to visit that places, like my selfies, photos with my friends, and functional photos, which can keep my memories with my friends and other loved ones.
And what do you do with the photos you take?
Well, actually, I kept my photos along with me for to as a memories of my like past days. For example, as I kept my photos of my like senior secondary class, which I captured with my friends. That all are have that all I have for the memories.
When you visit other places, do you take photos or buy postcards?
Well, I prefer to take photographs because I can because I can save it in my cell phone. So that's why I would like to take photographs rather than buying postcards.
And do you like people taking photos of you?
Well, it can be situational because if they are from my known my friends and I would like to take photos with them or they can take my photos, I don't have any problem. But if there are like strangers for me that I don't like to allow people to take my photographs.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you,
sir.
sir.
So for you at the moment, I would like you to focus your attention on fluency and on pronunciation. With fluency, you're actually speaking too fast, so you need to slow yourself down a bit.
Okay,
That's
sir.
that's one thing to be aware of. You're speaking very quickly, and because you're speaking quickly, it kind of amplifies the pronunciation mistakes. Because you're
Yes,
speaking
sir.
so quickly, the listener doesn't have a chance to kind of fill in the gaps. So that's what you would need to do is slow down a little bit. But then that's when you're speaking quickly, but at the same time, your answers are quite short. So when you're answering the questions, you need to develop them more. So
Okay.
um, speaking slower, but also speaking more for fluency. Your
Okay, sir.
answers were always relevant, they were always related to the topic, but we just need a bit more than what you're giving. Your answers tend to stop a bit early.
Okay, sir.
Um, with your pronunciation, the main issues are your sentence stress and your intonation. So when you're speaking in English, you need to stress kind of like the key words in each clause. So, like a one clause sentence will have two words stressed. So, like I just said there, a one clause sentence will have two words stressed. A one clause sentence will have two words stressed. But you're stressing like a fixed pattern, like the waves in an ocean. So, when you are speaking, you tend to have a pattern where you, like, it doesn't matter which words are important or how many words are in the sentence, you'll stress that same pattern every time. Um,
Okay.
so, so that means you're sometimes stressing words that you shouldn't, or you're stressing too many words, and that just makes it a little bit more challenging for the listener to follow what you're saying. And again, like I said, when that is combined with how fast you're speaking, those things kind of those things the speed amplifies those mistakes. So those would be the main things for you to work on at the moment. Um, and just focusing on your biggest mistakes is the best thing to do. There are other small little areas that you might need to work on later, but there's no point in trying to do 4, 5, 6 things at the same time. Focus on your two biggest areas. So when you're going to improve your speaking, you should be sitting down working on fluency or sitting down and working on pronunciation. they need to be done separately. Do you have any questions for that, or do you have any things that you want to talk about before we finish up here?
Sir, is there any way which can help me to like improve my fluency?
You just need to slow down. Where are you from, Sarb?
I'm from Punjab, India.
Indian people tend to speak quite quickly in general. I think it's just, I don't know for sure, but just because it's such a common thing in Indian students, I'd imagine probably in your first language, you guys speak a lot faster in your first language than we do in English. I think it's just
Yeah.
naturally the language is spoken more quickly. And then when it comes to English, the same pace is kept, but we just don't speak that fast in English. So you just need to kind of control it and slow it down. I mean, that's not a very complicated thing to do. You just need more practice and you need to be more aware of what you're doing. So that's not going to be, it's going to take practice, but it's not a very complicated thing to fix, you know.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. And talk to you again sometime. Bye for now, Sarb.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Judy, you finally made it. Good. Good to see you here. Hi, Mirabelle. Welcome. Okay. So, next up, I have Sarujan. Sarujan. Hello. Oh, might be an internet problem here.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Sarujan.
Hello, sir.
Can you hear me okay?
Hi. Yeah, sure. I can hear you.
Good. Okay. What speaking score are you aiming for?
A 6, sir. A 6.
Okay. Have you done the test before?
Yeah, sure.
What score did you get?
5.5 I got for speaking last time. So, yeah.
What do you think went wrong?
Yeah, sure. Like fluency, I think is a problem with me. So I think I should focus more on fluency.
And were there any topics that were like really bad for you? Were there any, the part 2 and part 3 were about a topic that you're really not good at discussing? Like you've no vocab to discuss those topics?
Yeah, sure.
So that could be an issue. Maybe it's your range of vocabulary in that you got a topic you're not good at.
Yeah, I think so.
And that could have affected your. I mean, if you're aiming for a 6, just talking to you now, obviously, like I haven't asked you any challenging questions, but your pronunciation, your fluency, you're quite relaxed about speaking English. I'm surprised to hear that you got a 5.5, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
How nervous were you in the test? That could be another factor.
Yeah, sure. I was as So I think that I was so nervous in the test, so I was stressed and I was, that's a problem, I think.
Yeah, maybe
Yes, go.
So your performance wasn't as good as you're really capable of, would you say?
Yes, exactly.
That might be a lot of it as well. That might be a lot of the reason behind why you're getting a 5.5 going into the test. You're stressed.
I'm stressed.
Overthinking it.
Okay.
So maybe the question for you is more like, what can you do to help yourself feel less stressed?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
There's like some students. Look, the truth is everybody's stressed. You know, and the way it affects you, the way it affects people is different. Like when I do job interviews, my voice starts shaking. Like I can't speak smoothly. I get very stressed, and it affects. And even then, like I'm not thinking clearly. The idea is like I'm talking, but I'm not really processing what I'm saying very well. It all becomes a bit of a blur. But there's one thing to be aware of is like some people, when they're stressed, they try to stop themselves from being stressed.
Okay.
But that doesn't really work. You can't stop yourself being stressed. It's like, it's a natural reaction to the situation you're in.
Yeah.
So I think just kind of go with it. just allow yourself to be stressed instead of trying to fight it and trying to stop yourself from being stressed. That can help a little bit in
Yeah,
that,
sure, sir.
right.
Right.
You're not, I mean, you'll still be stressed, but you just have to do the best you can in the environment that you're in.
Yeah, try my best.
Okay, so let me ask you some part 1 questions anyway.
Yeah,
all right,
great.
I'm gonna ask you some questions about friends.
Yeah.
How often do you go out with friends?
So actually I go. Yeah. So Yeah, so how it came to my friends is that I go to my friend's house every day in the afternoon to play some games and to entertain. And I think that, I think, it's so happy about feeling that you're focusing your spare time, enjoying with friends, and just, yeah.
And
happy about it.
tell me about your best friend at school.
So actually, there's a friend of mine who's called Jacob, so I think he's the kind of student who, who's getting excellent results for his subjects, and um, I think he's smart as well.
And how friendly are you with your neighbors?
I think I am extremely friendly with them since I play some sports games as well as, yeah. So I think that, how to say, I am happy about so I am happy about having neighbors such as them to play some games. And
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I feel like you're just making things too complicated for yourself at the
okay.
moment. You're making things too complicated. When we were talking before the IELTS questions, you're okay to talk normally, and then as soon as the first IELTS question arrived,
Yeah,
it seemed
nervous.
like you're nervous, but also with the answers, it sounds like you're trying to give very, very sophisticated answers, or like you're trying to give a presentation type of an answer.
Okay.
But you don't need to have that style of speaking in the IELTS test. You can, the way you were speaking to me before I asked you the IELTS questions, that's perfect. So just talk like you're talking to a person. But then when you start answering the questions, it felt like it was more like a performance, like, as if you're giving a presentation. If you're standing in front of a room of 100 people, and that kind of presentation style, you're giving a performance, trying to give this information to a room full of people, instead of talking like you're just talking to a person. So
Okay,
the way you delivered the answers, and also the type of information that you included, it seems like you're not happy to talk about trivial pieces of information, that you're trying to give, very fact-based, very, very, like, step-by-step pieces of information about the question. But you can talk just like a normal, like you would talk normally. Your answers don't have to be very sophisticated. Your answers don't have to be very informative. You just talk about the topic.
Okay, so thank you very much. Yeah.
No problem. The other thing I would say is just use the vocab you would normally use. And I might be wrong about this, so just tell me if I'm wrong, but I get the feeling like you're trying to think about what's the best vocab to use. Maybe you're trying to think of what grammar structures you should use, or how can you make your grammar more complex. Maybe you're thinking about vocab mistakes that you normally make, and you're trying to fix them. So what I would wonder, and I don't know, but I wonder, are you trying to think you're trying to think of many things at the same time,
Yes,
instead
exactly.
of just, yeah, right. So that's what I mean. You're making things too complicated for yourself. The way you were speaking to me earlier on is good enough for a band 6. So don't overcomplicate it. allow yourself to use the simple vocab, allow yourself to make grammar mistakes, allow yourself to make pronunciation mistakes. You know, if you're aiming for perfection, then it's messing with other parts of your speech. So you're not speaking naturally anymore. You're making it too complicated for yourself. So that would be my advice. Just try to give simple answers.
Sure, sir, I
They
will try.
don't have to sound sophisticated. Try to speak in the way you would naturally speak instead of, you know, trying to change your grammar and change your pronunciation and all that. So just
Okay,
try to make your answers as simple as possible and make the language as simple as possible. And I think your life would be a lot easier if
okay,
you do
sir.
that. Okay. Do you have any other questions or anything at the moment?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Well, lovely
Okay.
to meet you. And hopefully I'll see you again at some point.
Yeah,
Bye-bye
sure.
for now. See ya. Hi, Mirabelle. Apanalam. Hello to you. Mamadul. How many hours of practice required each day if someone wants to improve their speaking by one band within 2 months? Considering the candidate current level is around 6.5 in speaking. It's honestly, it's very different for different people. You know, it depends how many things you need to fix. It depends how focused you are. Different people are, you know, some people when they're studying, they're super focused on one thing. And then other people when they're studying, they kind of drift in and out. You know, they'll go to search for something online and then they end up, you know, down that rabbit hole, on Facebook for an hour by accident, that type of thing. You know, some people, they'll have notifications on their phone, their friends are messaging them, and they, you know, like, so 2 hours of study for one person could be very unproductive, and 2 hours of study for another person could be, you know, incredibly effective. It just depends on the person to person. It also depends on how many things you need to fix. You know, like, and as well, like, even to say, like, for, let's say we're talking about grammar, you know, you could be a band 6 in grammar and you're just barely under a 7. So the amount of work you have to do to go from a 6 to a 7 is, you know, that much, compared to someone who's a band 6 and they're down here, they're just barely over a 5. They're just borderline 5, just barely gone above that level. So they have, you know, a lot more work to get up to a 7. There's so many factors involved. I mean, what I would say to you when you're asking how many hours, as many as you can, but be realistic so that it's sustainable. You know, if you're giving up exercise, if you're giving up cooking healthy meals for yourself, if you're giving up sleeping to study, that's not sustainable. So, you know, maybe for a few days you get away with that type of thing, but, you know, you have to take care of yourself so that you can maintain, you know, studying for over a long period of time. I don't have an exact number of hours for you, Mamadul, but what I would say is as much as you can, while maintaining, you know, your health. Hi, Rar. Okay, so I have a lesson with one of my students after this. So in 17 minutes. So we have one more student here, Rule. We'll do a bit of practice with Rule, and then we'll finish up here for today. So Rule, let's get you in here.
Hello, sir.
How do you say your name?
Ruhul Amin.
Ruhul. Okay, I wasn't pronouncing it too badly. Okay, what score do you need, Ruhul?
6.5 or above.
Okay. All right, so let me just get some questions for you here. Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions about free time. What do you enjoy doing in your free time?
Well, currently I don't have enough free time because of my university. But when I got free time, I generally try to do some productive work, try to learn some new skills, like drawing or like coding or like web developing. That's kind of stuff I did during my free times. And sometimes when I get bored, I visit other places with my friends, or I start gossiping with my friends. That's how I spend my free time.
And what did you do to relax when you were younger?
When I was younger, at the time, for relaxing, basically I play with my friends. That's I usually play with my friends because at the time, I think we don't feel any pressure, or we don't feel any pain. And we really like to play with our friends. And when we got the chance to play with our friends, that's time we feel so relaxing. That's why when I was younger, that's time I actually relax with playing my friends. And
If you had more free time, what new hobby would you like to take on?
If I have more free time, then I will try to learn card tricks, because when I see card tricks on YouTube, it's really pleased me. And I wish I were a magician, card magician. But I don't got enough time to spend beyond card tricks. So if I have enough time, then obviously I will try to learn card tricks and try to practice those.
Great. Thanks, Rahul. Okay, so for you, you're making some grammar mistakes, mainly with tenses. So those would be the main areas of grammar for you to work on. Work on tenses. Your vocab is good. Your pronunciation is very clear. You have good sentence stress. Your intonation is quite accurate. So lots of strengths with pronunciation and with vocabulary. Grammar, your range is good. Just you're making kind of a lot of mistakes at the moment. So starting with grammar tenses would be good. And then the main area for you to focus on is your fluency. So at the moment, you're speaking a bit, there are too many pauses, there are too many hesitations when you're speaking. So that would be the main thing, really. How often do you speak English? Do you speak English a lot?
Well, I often didn't speak don't speak English a lot, because our native language is Bangla. So people around Bangladesh, they just like to they speak in Bangla all the time. So we don't have that much environment where we can practice English. We can only practice English in our universities or school colleges where we went. But there is a limited time for like for 4 hours or 6 hours. So I think that's not sufficient. That's why.
The thing as well, though, is, to practice speaking, you don't need someone to listen to you. You just need to practice speaking. You can do it by yourself. So, obviously the opportunities to speak with someone else are definitely limited. But if you can sit down for an hour every day and just practice speaking in English, that will definitely help. Because that's the main area that you need to work on. Just getting more comfortable speaking in English. The more you practice, the better you'll get. The one thing when you're practicing, though, is you want to give yourself a normal amount of time to react in the same way when you're speaking. So if someone is listening to you, you're not going to make them wait for 30 seconds before you answer the question. You might think for 1 or 2 seconds and then answer. So you need to do the same thing when you're practicing by yourself. Don't give yourself a lot of time to prepare. Find some question online, find some topic online, and then just start discussing it, almost instantly. And if you do that for an hour a day, that'll have a massive impact on your fluency. So that's what I'd recommend for you, mainly, Rahul.
Sir. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
You're very welcome, and lovely to meet you. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
Okay, guys, so that's all we have time for today. I'm just going to share one more link with you here. my free life feedback lessons on Zoom. So I have, those are my weekly classes on Zoom for my email subscribers. So click on the link, sign up, and you will have access to those lessons. And if you're looking for one-on-one support, send me an email here, lara@completetestsuccess.com, and we can see if you have a realistic goal or if I can help you or not. And that's pretty much it for today. So bye-bye to all of you, and talk to you again in the near future. Okay, best of luck to those of you with tests coming up, and